Okay guys, we're on the Cadillac. I'm gonna jam the trunk lid today. Did 2 coats of epoxy, went back with the DA, sanded all the flat spots, you know, sand all the big stuff that you can with the DA, just speeds things up. And then went through and then hand sanded around all of this. I sanded this all with 240, and even if you use 320 or 400, then sometimes like in these corners when you're hand sanding, it'll gouge and leave deep scratches. It's not necessarily a big issue if it's a solid color, but if you're painting a metallic, then the metallics will kind of crash into those. So what I like doing is after I'm done hand sanding everything, I just go back over the trunk lid with just a red Scotch-Brite pad, and that really softens up those deeper scratches that you get. And them scratches are, you know, when you fold a piece of sandpaper in half, or you get creases and wrinkles, or it plugs up. So whatever, but just kind of something for you guys to think about. If you're doing something that's a high metallic, especially like a silver, then that's pretty crucial. If it's a solid color, then the clear coat will fill all that stuff in. But so back about the trunk lid. So I did not seam seal the edges. The guy just doesn't want me to take the time. I don't really think we need to anyways, because no matter what, moisture is going to get into this thing. It's going to seep in on the other side through the keyhole. It'll seep in through the keyhole or from the holes from the emblems. So no matter what, moisture is going to get into this thing. So my idea is if you leave it open, then it'll breathe. See, like right here is a little spot that was seam sealed, and then whatever moisture, whatever water would collect in this could have drained out of that instead of rusting out the inside edge. So if that makes sense to you guys, that's my thought on this stuff anyways. So I've had good luck with it. There are parts on the car itself that need to be seam sealed, like I showed you guys in my other video. But so yeah, now same process as with everything else. I'm gonna go through and touch up any bare metal spots. I'm not really too worried about like little stuff like this. Sealer will be just fine for that. But it's just kind of the bigger spots, something that's like bigger than your thumbnail. Like I broke through in a few spots right over there, so it'll take nothing to just do one quick coat over that. And then there was some rust pits on the jam of this, or right on the edge of the skin. It wasn't enough to have to cut off and re-weld. It was just some deeper kind of pits. So I put a little slime in them just to smooth it out. Probably didn't need to, but did it anyways. So, but yeah, so now self-etch primer, and then I'll mix up some sealer, and then we'll be spraying some base. So here I got the etch primer on. All of the fast forwarded stuff I have at 10 times the speed that it actually took. And throughout the course of this, you'll see that I use all kinds of different like angles and techniques and methods. Like right now I got my fan turned way down, and I'm trying to get in all those little tight spots that you can't normally just get. And then that coat dried. So now I'm doing the second coat. With the second coat, I'm just gonna do a basic coat over the thing. I'm not gonna worry about all those little nooks and crannies and crevices. And here I got base coat in the gun, and I'm starting out with all those hard to reach spots. And again, this is all, the speed is times 10. I think I don't know, I have hours into painting this thing. But I'm going through, hitting all those hard to reach spots first. All the spots that, I don't know, on normal cars when you see someone has the hood or the trunk popped, you can see like spots of primer that didn't get colored or this or that through all those little openings. So now I'm spraying on the first coat of base coat, and it goes, I don't know, pretty good, pretty easy, not too big. Okay, I got one coat of base on the trunk lid. I was looking it over, and I found, you can barely see them, but I found like 3 pinholes. Actually, there's like a 4th one right here. But so what I did was it took forever, and the next coat or a couple coats will fill it. But so what I did was I took some unreduced base coat, put it on the end of a matchstick, and just dabbed it inside the pinholes to fill them. And then I've been block sanding the car outside while I was waiting for it to dry. I'd come in, sand it a little bit, blow it off, and then I'd do another 2 or 3 coats of base, because you start getting through the base and then you get into the sealer and you don't want to break through the sealer. So I would do another couple coats of base just in this area. Like you can kind of see how it's a little hazy where I have it. So I do a couple coats, wait for it to dry, come back with the matchstick, dab them again, wait for that to dry, sand it. I've been sanding it with 600 grit, so you don't want to do 400 because with a metallic it'll be hard to fill the sanding scratches. So some 600 grit. Now I should be able to just fill it with a couple light coats of paint. So I'm going to do a second coat on all of this, and then wait for it to dry, do the third coat, and then it should be good to go. So here again, speed times 10. So this is the second coat of base coat, and you're trying to hit it. Here's the third coat. I'm trying to hit it at different angles. You want to try to get base on everything, obviously, but with all the little nooks and crannies on this trunk lid, you know, you got to hit it at different angles to get full coverage. So you can see I'm painting it from side to side versus, and then sometimes I'm going from front to back. Right here, I think right here I'm clearing. And if you guys notice, I always hit the edges first. So I always do a loop around all the edges, because that's where people burn through when they cut and buff. So here I'm doing it in real time, and you guys can kind of see how long it takes to do the final coat. I'm going through and hitting all those kind of hard to reach spots. When I do the last coat of clear, I'll be doing it from the back side of the trunk, and I'll be spraying from the front edge of the trunk toward the back. So usually the spray pattern is going to be blowing kind of towards where I was just standing. And so I'm trying to hit all those edges that are going to be away from me. You'll see here in just a sec what I'm talking about. Here you'll see I always do the edges and then work my way in. And you always want to make sure you get extra paint, extra clear, extra paint on the very edges, because a lot of the times guys just don't do that. They just paint whatever say the flat surface. Like imagine if the thing was just two-dimensional and they just paint the top. They forget that there's that third dimension. It might only be like a couple millimeters thick on the very edges, but you gotta make sure you get paint on those edges. Here my hose is all twisted up. You can see it on the other side of the stand. And you know, whatever, that happens sometimes. Of course that happened, it became a problem as I'm already spraying my last coat of clear. But like I said, I kind of wanted to do this last coat of clear in real time so you guys get an idea of how long this actually takes. If you drape your air hose up over your shoulder like this, then it guarantees that it's not gonna accidentally fall on the panel or rub the panel. I'm pulling my shirt back so that my shirt doesn't touch the edge of the trunk lid. I'm a lot fatter than I used to be, so I'm actually sucking in my gut too while I'm doing this. I used to be like 145 pounds and now I'm like 230. So this is all just kind of real time, doing the last coat of clear. And when you guys are doing this, then you don't have to worry about how fast you're moving. You're looking at how the clear is laying down, and if it looks like it's coming too wet, you either got to adjust the gun or you got to move faster. If it looks like it's going to have a lot of orange peel or it's coming on really dry, then you got to slow it down, maybe tighten up your overlap. You know, instead of doing like a 50-50 overlap, maybe do a 75% overlap. But usually the last coat of clear lays on really nice. And I walked up before I did this coat to make sure that the last coat was tacky. Right, you don't want it stringy where you touch it and it pulls away to your finger. You want it to where you touch it and it just feels like a little sticky. If you put it on too thick, then you'll get what they call solvent pop, and it'll look like a bunch of little tiny air bubbles inside of it. And then you can cut and buff it, but it'll still be there. Like, you can't really get rid of it. You can cut and buff it out a little bit, but you'll see like this weird kind of orange peel to it. So now I'm just kind of looking it all over while the clear is still wet, to see if there was anything that needed to be touched up. And here's the final product. Nice and flat and smooth, just how we like it. Yeah, so I don't know. This is episode 13. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And as always, until next time, take care.